Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Jewel, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks
Um,
for asking.
Good. Well, I'd like to say welcome to Simply Jewel Atypical podcast, where we are atypical of the average. And I just want to welcome you on here. I have been anxiously awaiting to bring awareness to those who are curious, interested, um, and trying to find helpful ways to reduce pain.
Absolutely. It's great to be a part of this. Thank you for having me. I think you bring up some great questions in a new industry, and hopefully we can provide some information to help consumers identify quality products.
Right, that's great. Well, first of all, I would like for you to introduce yourself. And also, we can just jump in talking about the facts, the features, the benefits, lipids, a bit of the science part of it, and go from there if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. So my name is Riley Moran. I work with Functional Remedies in Superior, Colorado. We are a full spectrum hemp oil manufacturer, and you know, there's so many options. There's over 4,000 brands operating in this space. Um, Synchronicity by Functional Remedies is going to stand out because we are seed to bottle, vertically integrated. We oversee every single step of the process, and we are ISO 9001 certified, which means it's the highest international standard for quality control. So we elected to hold ourselves to that standard. The only other companies doing that are pharmaceutical companies.
Okay. And so, to get people to understand um, the difference between CBD versus hemp, can you
Yeah,
enlighten?
yeah. So it's a great question. It's probably the first question anyone should ask. We see CBD advertised everywhere. CBD is a phytonutrient found in the cannabis plant. Um, there are hundreds and hundreds of phytonutrients. So most CBD products are going to eliminate and strip away hundreds of other health benefiting phytonutrients. They're going to isolate just the CBD, which has been very effective. It's been proven to help people with seizures, epilepsy. But for the general population, CBD products are eliminating hundreds of other health benefiting phytonutrients. And they're also, a CBD isolate is also eliminating polyphenols, flavonoids, terpenes, antioxidants, omega 3s, omega 6s, all of those other health benefiting compounds that naturally exist in the hemp plant are eliminated, and CBD is isolated. So that's what we mean when we talk about full spectrum hemp oil. We're actually able to collect 100% of the plant's nutrients, including hundreds of phytonutrients, plus these antioxidants, omega 3s. Terpenes are huge, they play a huge role. Beta caryophyllene is one terpene found in the cannabis plant, and it works just like a cannabinoid in that it actually binds to the receptors and helps your endocannabinoid system communicate with itself. So in our product, you will have all of these health benefiting compounds not just CBD.
Nice. And the fact that we have cannabinoids already in our system. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah,
And the
yes,
absorption.
absolutely.
Yes.
So your body naturally produces anandamide and 2-AG. Uh, those those help your endocannabinoid system communicate with one another. So what you're doing when you take a full spectrum hemp oil is you're supplementing your body's natural production of anandamide and 2-AG. Anandamide is called the bliss molecule because they can show Raphael Mechoulam in the mid 1990s had a scientific study that showed that anandamide uh, is directly correlated to things like having a positive outlook on life or just feeling content. So if someone takes a full spectrum hemp oil product and an hour later they feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more calm, have a little bit more positive outlook on life, that's a clear indication that they probably had a shortage of anandamide or 2-AG in their system, and their body is having a positive reaction to these foreign cannabinoids. The full spectrum that you're taking into your body is working, and it's allowing your endocannabinoid system to communicate through a series of chemical reactions. And basically, we take things like vitamin C, we take things like fish oil. Why wouldn't we take something that kind of balances us out and helps our ECS maintain homeostasis?
That's a good way to put it. And that's another reason why I say everybody's body chemistry is different. So let's talk about the route in which one takes the CBD hemp oil to bring them back to homeostasis status. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so a lot of CBD isolates will actually be in powder form. The biochemistry of isolating and extracting CBD is unfortunately changed drastically. You can see, if you were to put a CBD isolate underneath a microscope, that the cell walls are completely shattered, they are adulterated, and your body is not going to be able to absorb it if at near the rate had the biochemistry remained the same. And so there are extraction methods that can actually keep the cell wall intact. It can keep the biochemistry the same. And so these extraction methods are generally actually infusion methods. This is what Functional Remedies does. They actually have an infusion process that allows the capturing of 100% of the plant's nutrients, and it is infused to organic coconut oil. And because it's in coconut oil and the biochemistry is not changed, your body is actually able to absorb, utilize, and metabolize the CBD and the other phytonutrients at a higher rate.
Right. And just to be clear, for most people that want to experiment, I always suggest that they do a patch test because everyone's body chemistry is different. Some people are allergic to coconut oil or other routes that to use. And you can also use, would you say, like I'm allergic to peanuts, so I wouldn't use it as a carrier oil, but I would be able to use like coconut oil or olive oil. So I think that some people are really wanting to try but are fearful, and then you have some that already know the benefits of using it for whatever reason: hydration, absorption. uh, this is not a product to get high off of, but it is to reduce pain. So for me, using the product in my oils is to reduce pain. So that is some great information there, Riley. Um, so let's just say if a person was new to, if you're new to hemp oil, what are your suggestions?
Yeah, our philosophy has always been to ask your body, and we do that by starting low and slow. That means a very low dose, maybe one full tincture uh, in the morning and one at night, and then depending on how you feel, how you react to it, it is great now that they have these DNA tests that are going to kind of eliminate some of that trial and error period, and it will just go straight to a recommended dose. Because everyone's body is different, everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. These new DNA tests are a huge asset to the CBD industry, because it will kind of
Right.
pinpoint what your body needs. So I
Exactly.
absolutely recommend utilizing one of those. And if not, if you don't want to, invest in a DNA test kit, I would start low and slow, maybe a full tincture in the morning, full tincture drop at night, and kind of go from there, inch up the regimen just a little bit. And it is something that will accumulate in your system over time, so you do need to give it probably a good couple weeks to build up.
Okay, and let's talk about that. The tinctures. The tinctures are ingestible. And then what if you have someone that only wants to use topical just for pain? Like they're both for pain, but one you can ingest and one you can use topically. So
Yeah.
let's make it clear and make sure they understand the tinctures are ingestible.
Yeah,
And
that's a great point. There are a lot of people that have government clearance that, regularly have to submit to UAs, and they want to pass a drug test. There are topical full spectrum products that will work in an isolated area. I have a client who, had a full knee reconstruction surgery, and he uses a topical, um, for immediate relief in that area, that isolated area. And the topical is not going to absorb into your bloodstream at the rate of you. It would not cause you to fail a drug test. The
right.
ingestibles are going to have, they're going to have right at the legal limit of 0.3% THC content. That is the legal limit defined in the 2018 Farm Bill that made cannabis federally legal. So the ingestibles will have a little bit of THC content. Using a topical and an ingestible in conjunction will obviously give you the most relief. However, if you do want to just focus on an isolated area and you want to be able to pass a drug test, I recommend topical products for those people. Using an
Okay.
ingestible with a topical will absolutely give you maximum effect.
Okay, so what that brings on the maximum effect. But I want to talk about, like, say for example you had a knee surgery. Now, clients are not to use them until how many weeks or days after post surgery?
Post surgery, that's a great question. I would ask your medical provider. Um,
Mm-hmm.
most most doctors, I assume, wouldn't have any issue with you taking it directly after surgery. But obviously, I would ask a medical professional about recommendations. And a lot of medical professionals will reach out to one of their colleagues to inquire about that. We find a lot of the time, it's a question that they're not asked very often.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And so I didn't think about that as far as post-surgery. Now, let's talk about why people, did we already talk about that? Why people use hemp oil and what would they use it for other than muscle pain, just arthritis?
Yeah,
What are some other?
there's a bunch of different reasons why people utilize full spectrum hemp oil. You know, us being in the industry, the FDA makes it very clear we are not allowed to make any claims about what the products do. We are still awaiting clinical trials. Once we have data on clinical trials, we will be able to say, you know, this is for this specifically, this is for that specifically. Most people are taking hemp oil for aches and pains. They're taking it because they believe it reduces their stress and anxiety. The first ever clinical trials on anxiety and stress are being conducted in the next few months. The first ever clinical trial regarding liver toxicity just concluded about 6 weeks ago. All of the participants took an extremely heavy dose of full spectrum hemp oil every single day for 90 days. All of those participants showed no damage to the liver. There was no scarring. So it confirmed what doctors have thought and scientists have thought for a long time, is that there's really no negative side effects to taking full spectrum hemp oil. But most people are going to be taking it to alleviate isolated pain, to sleep better, to have relief from stress, anxiety. And what your endocannabinoid system is really doing, you know, most of the pain that we experience is caused by inflammation, and your endocannabinoid system regulates inflammation.
Absolutely. Yes. And that's why I have no problems with different alternatives, because as we know, certain other spices and herbs are used for inflammation, whereas this is just an additional alternative. So for those who have tried everything and haven't tried a CBD oil to see if they can reduce a little bit of the pain in their joints or muscle pain, that is the reason why I wanted to talk to you about it, because I know that we are all, I'll just say, people with like minds are understanding it more and have certain data, and we can compare and contrast. But it's always good to get someone online to speak about the findings and the knowledge and a little bit of the data and peer reviews. So I appreciate you coming on and giving us some information. And for those that are curious, is there anything else you'd like to shine on? The fact, the feature, the benefits of CBD oil, hemp oil?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, you know, to kind of touch on the regulation of inflammation again, to kind of reiterate the importance, the industry as a whole is absolutely exploding right now because scientists see the potential. We haven't confirmed a lot of these things. Unfortunately, the science research was held back due to government regulation for decades. So clinical trials in the near future, I would love to do something like this with you in about 6 months, Jewel, as more clinical trials come out and we have more concrete evidence of what cannabinoids do in our system and how they benefit us, because the science is rapidly catching up.
Right.
And the biggest thing to remember is that, you know, everybody has these receptors in your GI tract, in your bone marrow. They're scattered across, you know, your entire epidermis, your liver, your kidneys. They're everywhere, and they do communicate with one another. And so to be able to introduce foreign cannabinoids and have them supplement your body's natural production of anandamide and 2-AG, you know, I liken it to, you know, kind of having your body firing on all cylinders. And a lot of people, you know, have this misconception that if they take a full spectrum hemp oil, it's going to make them sleepy or groggy. And a lot of people, myself included, have the exact opposite reaction. You know, when I take my hemp oil in the morning, I feel energized. I feel a little bit more focused. And I attribute that to my endocannabinoid system firing on all cylinders and being able to communicate more efficiently and effectively. So for anyone that's curious about it, I would say absolutely try a full spectrum hemp oil, and see how your body reacts to it.
Yes. Well, that is good. That's good and good advice as well. I know that we have cancer survivors who are wanting to explore, kind of like in from the old school, and you know, again, like I said, everyone has options and there's alternatives. So I don't want to say never to try anything different. I'm all for experimenting, and while everybody else is catching up, I do have some data that has turned into a positive thing. However, I would love to work with you, like you said, 6 months from now or whatever. We can still compare our data and information and move forward. Hopefully, we are in a world of acceptance where people understand they have the right to pick and choose their whatever they need to help them become their best selves. So, with
Yes.
that being said, I appreciate you and I appreciate you coming on, Riley. I look forward to us doing something in the near future and sooner than later.
Yeah.
And until next we wrap, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and just say you are listening to Simply Jewel, Atypical podcast. Thanks, Riley.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, be in touch. Thank you.
Yep.